This meeting is being recorded.
It's the weekend. It's Mailbag. I don't know if anyone heard that on Matt's computer then, but it did that little this meeting is being recorded voice and completely just took over the whole thing. Yeah, anyway, it's the weekend. It's Mailbag. I am joined, as you probably saw, by Matt Flusk and by Dave Downey. Lads, everyone okay? Had a good week?
Yeah, as weeks go, mate. Last week's wasn't great. If anyone follows me on Twitter, they'll know why. But yeah, since then, I've been all right, to be fair, yeah.
I think recently, Dave, a good week for you has just been one that's been clear of any disaster, hasn't it, really?
Mate, a good week for me is me being avoiding the NHS, God bless them. That's a good week for me.
Matt, about you?
Yeah, all right. I've had worse weeks. I can't remember when, but I've had worse weeks. But bit of perspective, given Dave's own situation. Like, annoying people in work is one thing, isn't it?
Yeah, true. I mean, work's just full of annoying people anyway, isn't it? That's kind of part of the course. We're all looking forward to the Toffees tomorrow.
Oh yes,
absolutely. Yeah. Well, as I say, looking forward to them. I think I'm quite nervous about the game itself, given Leicester. I hate to say it because they've been dreadful so far this season, haven't they? But it's a big match for us this, because if they were to get 3 points against us, they're right in amongst us, aren't they? And sort of mid to lower table. But if we win, then it puts you in ease going towards Bournemouth next week, doesn't it? So I think it's a huge game tomorrow, and probably been a little bit underspoken given the 4 points from the last two with Palace and Fulham, who've been two good sides this season's been quite refreshing, hasn't it? I mean, we didn't think we were great at Fulham, but not losing's a huge bonus for us because we didn't get used to doing that under Lampard, did we? Oh, well, the clown that can't be named before him as the manager. So, yeah, I think tomorrow's a really big game for us, and it's bonfire night as well, isn't it? So there'll be all sorts thrown about for us out there.
Oh, I can't wait for the commentary team to talk about fireworks. They're just going to be mentioning it all the time. Oh, there's fireworks.
Yeah, whoever has a shot from 5 yards away, you've just tried to score a rocket or some crap like that.
Yeah, it's going to be full of it, isn't it? Is it on BT?
No, it's Sky, isn't it? Sky have got the late Saturdays this year, I think.
I suppose that's something then. Right, well, we'll get straight into the questions. So Stephen Sheehan, so these questions are from a few weeks ago. So the context of this one was the Just Stop Oil protesters lashing soup over a Van Gogh that was covered in glass.
Shouldn't laugh.
They checked it out.
Should we laugh? Can we laugh at this?
Yeah,
is it
definitely?
Matt, you know a lot more politically active than most people, than any person I really know. Matt, is it okay to laugh at oil-related things that have happened and tomato being thrown at things and all that?
Yeah. Because it is quite funny, like, especially the reaction to it. But it completely served its purpose because we all know why they did it. So they got our attention. And I mean, let's face it, it's even if it didn't have glass on it, if they'd actually thrown tomato soup on a priceless piece of art and everyone's like, oh, you've destroyed something completely priceless. Look outside, look at the planet. You can't replace that, can you?
Mate, that's an excellent.
People said it was a tenuous link, but it's not really because there is that.
And also, free Louis.
I was going to say that the chief stop oil king kept us in the Premier League. I think personally it was solely down to him. It didn't matter what happened against Palace. It happened when he tied himself faithfully against the Gladys Street goal and demanded the worst piece of machinery that tried to get him cut off that some fella absolutely tried his hardest to do, and it didn't work. I mean, I actually think that's at some point, no doubt, the last mailbag of this year, we'll have to do a sort of maybe a little bit of a side chat at this lesson. Obviously, it's up to you because it's your show, but just in terms of like what happened this year in 2022, that's got to be at the top of it. That fella who come out with the biggest, I don't even know what do you even call that?
Bolt cutters, weren't they? They look like big bolt cutters because they couldn't even cut through plastic.
I was going to say like a 3 millimeter line of cable tie. You couldn't cut it off, or even cut the net, because that'd be the next thing you did, wouldn't it? You cut that little tiny line out the net so it gets off. And it was the way they took him down the Bullen side, upside down as well. What a fella he is, by the way. Listen, when he gets out, I really hope he does get out. I think there'll be a line of people waiting to interview that fella.
They stand after him.
Yeah, I'm happy, mate. We're just about, and the thing is, sort of Bramley Moor and the buildings in and around there are going to be related to oil, aren't they? And that part of the city, so he must have something to say about that.
I think the video he did just before it was like dead and lightning, because you could see his bottle was going there, because it was a huge thing to do. It's one thing going to an art gallery and, you know, lashing tomato soup over a painting in front of a load of sort of genteel art gallery types and maybe a security guard, and going to the frigging seething mass that is Goodison in a relegation dogfight against fucking Newcastle and doing that. I mean,
biggest set of bollocks you could ever see in someone, innit?
Plums. Yeah, it really does. And you think you saw on the video he put out just after it, it showed how nervous he was. But, you know, this is the thing, people don't want to go too far into this, but people, you know, talk about like protests and things like that, and it's ridiculous and you shouldn't be doing this. And that's how you get people's attention, and that's what you need to do to like get these things out in the public and spoken about. And they have done that. You know, you might not agree with the way they do it, but if you do agree with the way they do it, then they're doing it wrong. So it's like,
I'd love to hear the thoughts of Alex Iwobi, because is it that specific moment really that really, you know, put him to the top of our best player of the season, didn't it? That he scored that late winner against Newcastle. That happens because of it. What's his name? Louis. What's his full name?
McKechnie.
Louis McKechnie. Tell you what, Alex Iwobi owes a lot to that fella. I know Alex has done a lot of good himself, but he owes him a lot. And yeah, I'm more than happy for him to get. I mean, some of the work some of the people have done when they've drew him and made like the Banksy like pictures of him going round and all that. I think it's absolutely brilliant, and I love him. I want to meet him.
He was a very popular Halloween costume as well, wasn't he? By the look of it.
Yeah, isn't that one of the questions we've got as well?
Yeah. So on that one then, if
you're getting too good at this, Les.
What's that?
You're getting too good at this. Segues.
Seamless, just writes itself. This. If you see in amidst all that, Stephen's question was, if you could throw tomato soup over something, what would it be? That.
I'm going to go something quite obvious and just say Jurgen Klopp, because you know what?
Funnily enough,
I think, but the thing is, I think like politically and all that, and socially, he gets it, doesn't he? I get that. That's a big thing for most of their fans, and I think that the three of us and many people who listen to our podcast would say, you know, that's where you would respect them, aside from anything associated with football. But he's just. He got the what did he get, the key to this bloody city, didn't he, this week and all that? He does me head in a bit because he's good at what he does, and I wouldn't mind, and it'd be fitting, wouldn't it? You know, tomato soup, just to throw over his head and see what he did. Do you reckon? The question I want to refer to that, bit of a tangent, of course, but do you think he's hard? Like, do you reckon he could handle himself?
Oh, that's a good question, because he's a fairly tall fella, isn't he?
Well, I'm just saying that because if you threw the tomato soup all over him, if you saw him out in town, it was just you walking up the road, do you reckon you could take him?
I reckon I'm faster than him. I could leg it, defo.
I don't know. I reckon I could fill him in, but
I reckon you could take it.
Yeah, I reckon I'd take him, mate.
I haven't that to me.
Yeah, that you say, those like he's obviously going to leg it away from me, but I don't know if he was actually up for the scrap. I don't know, because he's like, you look at his history and stuff, and not that I'm obsessed with him or anything because I've asked about this question, but obviously his history as a player, he was quite a hard man centre half, wasn't he? From, is it Mainz he played for? From some sort of forest in Germany, isn't it? Where he's from? What's it called?
The Black Forest. The
Black Forest, yeah. I don't know. I'm just thinking he might be a hard fella. I'm thinking, would you fancy yourself against him? I'm putting that, you know, we have to answer the questions. I'm putting that one out to everyone that's listening. Do tweet us back or get in touch and let us know. Do you think you could take on Klopp? And in what sort of circumstance? If I'm thinking like a genuine scrap, like a boxing fight, I reckon he'd probably do me because I couldn't last, I'd say, 2 rounds, and that's being kind to myself. But then I'm thinking, if you saw him out in town and like you threw your tomato sauce on him and he came over to you and wanted to say, get outside now and slap you everywhere, do you think you could take him? So I'd love the various answers that people gave, but I want your twos first as well. Matt, you haven't even said anything about this yet. Go on.
Yeah, no, I could definitely take him. I'm just reading his background there. Yeah, he grew up in a small village in the countryside as a Black Forest with 2 older sisters. So he didn't come up hard, did he? He never got battered by his brother.
Yeah, didn't have brothers, so yeah.
He slapped some wildlife as well there where he lived. Could be tough.
I'm just amazed this question's never been asked before. Could you batter the Liverpool manager? It's like that should be like a question every week. I reckon I'd just throw one shit house dig and leg it.
And just see what happens. Like, see
if I'd just probably lash one haymaker. If it doesn't connect, I'm off.
I don't know. I think that if that happens, if that's the way it goes, I think many people will count that as a victory that I know. Like, because I know a few shit houses, like, you know what I mean?
You know what? One thing that I noticed today, it was actually that interview. I don't know if everyone's seen it, but the interview with Lampard, where the journalist asked the really stupid question about the amount of corners that Everton and Leicester have conceded, and he says Leicester have conceded 26 goals from set pieces this season. Yeah, and Lampard's like, "Are you sure about that?" And as soon as
they've only conceded 25 goals, full stop.
Exactly. It was just totally.
No, the eventual question, because it's funny you mention this because it was on Sky Sports News about half an hour before we started this, and what the question actually was, which he didn't say the full question. Whoever was near him obviously just threw a piece of paper to say, no, you've asked it wrong, because Lampard was looking at him saying, well, I'm sure that's not true because we've actually been all right defensively and whatnot. And the actual thing he was saying was that there was 26 goals that Leicester had conceded from set pieces and 25 goals we conceded from set pieces in the last 18 months.
Okay.
So it included, and what Lampard's reply was to say was, well, I didn't join the club till February, so it's got nothing to do with me, which is absolutely right. And basically to say, it was under Benitez, do you know what I mean? That we would shite from set pieces.
The thing I noticed from that was Jurgen Klopp generally tends to try and make a dickhead out of the person interviewing him. Lampard didn't. He handled it in a sort of way to say, are you really sure about that, mate? But not in such a way that it made him look like a prick.
A lot of courtesy, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he didn't try and sort of put him down and just dismiss him or anything like that. He handled it really well, and I thought that
he actually says, "I'm not trying to make a fool of you." He actually says those words. I'm not trying to make you sound silly.
Exactly. Whereas Klopp can't wait.
No,
he just loves to try and put people down. So, fuck it, I could have him easy. Dan has asked big important question. What's your favourite pasta shape?
Well, Matt, I've been chatting all sorts here, Matt. You go first.
Probably the little bow ties. I think they're farfel, are they?
Farfel, is it?
I like them ones.
Yeah.
Farfel.
Do you not think they're tough to pick up,
though? When I was a kid. That's the thing.
You need a proper sharp fork for that.
See, that's the thing.
You're going
chopsticks.
Chop. Wow, mate. You're going beyond it with that stuff. I couldn't even.
Chopsticks are absolutely perfect for picking up little pasta.
Can you use chopsticks well, effectively?
Yeah, pretty well, yeah. And cake as well. Eating cake with chopsticks, absolute game changer.
What?
Because you can get all the little bits and squash it together. You get little crumbs and that.
Oh yeah.
You've got a sponge cake or something. Eat it with chopsticks. Yeah. It'll change your life.
Tell you what, mate, these would be, given the fact that I've spent a lot of time at home recently, I'm actually going to try this tomorrow night when I get home from the game. But yeah, it's funny because we love Wagamamas. I love getting ramens from Wagamamas, and they always, when you have it in there, and even when you get it to take away, actually, they throw the chopsticks in with it. But the amount of times that I've been to one where they give you chopsticks, and what really annoyed me about it was I feel offended if they don't bring me a fork as well as the chopsticks. And I know that's me actually offending the actual brand itself, But yeah, mate, you'd impressed me there if you're able to do that. But the cake thing, I'm definitely going to try that, mate. 'Cause the amount of times when you know, if you go to a party, you get a piece of cake or whatever, someone's birthday in your family, and you give you a slice of cake to take home, and half of it ends up going in the bin because it's in pieces. I'm quite anxious to try this now to see if I can take a full portion of it.
We could also have a
What you said there about the restaurant, Dave, I'm the opposite. So I go on, Les.
I was just going to say we could have a new feature there, Matt's life hacks. Sorry, Matt, what were you saying? Go on.
No, I was saying I'm the opposite in the restaurant. I get offended if they don't bring me chopsticks. If
Really?
they just go, white boy, here's a fork. So I was like, whoa, hang on a minute. Yeah.
I suppose at Wagamama you could have the sort of the compromise where it's got the kids' chopsticks, where you just snap them together and they're like little pincers.
What I don't understand is, right, and maybe I've just invented this right now, but I'm sure it's probably out there somewhere. Why can't they give you a chopstick that one end's got just the stick and the other end's got a fork? So they could just, when you give it out, no one's going to be moaning hard if you've got one end that suits them. Is that not something that can happen? You know, when you get a fork, that sort of thing.
So like you've got a knife and fork, but the other end of the handle is a chopstick.
Yeah. That solves that solves if you go in somewhere that's absolutely chocker and me and Matt are going for a nice meal somewhere, Chinese restaurant, and he wants a chopstick and I want a fork. Why could they not give us something that accommodates for both of us? And I'd ask, do you not think as well that it'd be really
Dave,
effective? What?
It exists.
No way.
Matt's just showed us there.
Say something, Max. I can only see one ears at a time, you see, on this line.
Oh, right.
Oh, wow.
I see that there. There you go.
Ah, mate. That was my key to become a millionaire, that.
Matt, what are they called?
Yeah. Forkchops.
Forkchops. There's the title of the pod.
Ah, that's not as good as Sporks, is it?
But a set of 6 are 60 quid.
60 quid.
Right, Dave, here's your winning idea now. You make them, but undercut that because that's dead expensive.
Yeah, I mean, 5 for 10. Do you know what I mean? I'd be more than willing to do that.
The only problem is they look like they're made of plastic, so Tom Davis will not be able to turn them into a coffee table.
Oh yeah, I mean, what? I'm gutted there that I've missed that. It's like, you know, given what I was explaining about being diagnosed as epileptic and whatnot, like the whole process of how it happens and stuff like that. And if anybody wants to ever know about that or are bored enough to want to find out about what that actually is, do hit me up freely, and I'll explain it to you on a separate podcast or something like that. But it's, you know, being able to think differently, it sort of changes after you've had a seizure, which is what happened to me last week and whatnot. Like thinking of something like that, actually really happy and impressed with myself, and then absolutely gutted, like I was slapped in the face because it does exist and it's probably been there for a very, very, very long time. I'm devastated. What's the name of this brand? I'll be having a chat with them here. Bastards.
Dave, what you need to do though, make sustainable ones then. Just take their idea and make it better.
What, make them out of plants or something?
Yeah, just wooden ones that Tom Davis can use.
What's the thing with Tom Davis, by the way? Is he very like
he's just the best fella ever.
Type, is he? He's what?
He's just the best fella ever. But he's got a business that makes old chopsticks into furniture.
What?
Yeah.
That's not true.
Yeah. It's him, his brother, and his agent. And they've gone round all the Chinese restaurants in town and said, keep your chopsticks back and just like, we'll dispose of them. And what they do is like superheat them and compress them together to make like furniture and coasters and coffee tables and all sorts. And it's not for profit as well. It's just,
even better.
This is really embarrassing. Really, really embarrassing because I know his agent really, really
Neil Sang?
It is Neil. Well, yeah. I haven't spoken to Sangy for a couple of years, one reason or another. But I've known him for a long time, broadcast with him for a long, long time. So I'll be dropping him a message and saying, "Listen, mate, have you ever thought of this before?" Probably, honestly, mate, you probably throw a load of them at my house, saying, "Why haven't you heard them already?"
This is your in into the Forkchops market, mate. Anyway, Dave, favourite pasta shape? Have you got one?
Favourite pasta shape? Now, I was thinking about this when you sent me before. So, like as I alluded to before we started talking about chop forks, whatever we're going to call them, I was thinking about the difficulty of actually picking them up. So the one that Matt mentioned there, the bow tie ones, I just think it does me head in that, you know, you can't, you're gonna have to, you know, try quite difficultly, try quite hard to pick them up with a normal fork. So I'd either use a spoon for them, but you know, that's not really nice. If you go to a nice restaurant, no one's going to give you the spoon to pick them up. Do you know what I mean? So with that in mind, and this is going, I don't know if this is allowed, you be the judge of this, guys, but do you remember the pieces of pasta you could get, the Heinz spaghetti ones that you get when you're a kid? Not the A to Z, the other ones that like Thomas the Tank.
Oh, okay, that's the actual
Them,
shape.
mate. I'm not even joking, right? So obviously I'm trying to eat a lot better these days. And what I've started eating is just loads of spaghetti. Like Heinz spaghetti, you know, but this is gonna sound horrible. I love cold spaghetti. I love most food cold. So that I have beans cold. I like coffee cold, and a lot of people like coffee cold. But I like a lot of different foods cold in a really, really weird way. So yeah, my one that is still, if you're still classing it as pasta, if you forgive me for that, Les, then it would be the Thomas the Tank pasta that you used to be able to get with Heinz spaghetti.
God,
You
I
can have that, you
remember
can 100% have that. It's a pasta shape. You might have to have Peppa Pig though these days.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good point. But also, I mean, what are the worst ones that I don't even see the need in them? Are the ones that are like little poles. What are they called? That you get like when you go to a nice Italian
Penne.
restaurant. Which?
Like the penne pasta, the little tubes.
Yeah, tell me what's the point in them? Why them?
I don't know.
Why
Why
they
not?
here? But again,
Surface area.
they're
They're
similar to the
quite easy to pick up. You can scoop them on your fork.
Yeah, you can have a laugh at them and put like one down each different prong of the fork.
Turn them into vampire teeth, whatever.
But yeah, but that's the thing. No, you can't. Like it takes proper effort. Like when you're digging in your fork to pick it up, along with whatever else you get with it. So say if you've got like chicken with it or whatever it is, the meat that you've got with it, why not just go just plain spaghetti? I know that's a really boring answer apart from the one I've given. But normal spaghetti that you can twist around your fork, that to me, I don't understand what the need of any other type or shape of spaghetti there is.
It's a fair shout, like. Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think
What's
it's about
yours?
how it holds the sauce. Like
That's a fair.
penne,
Yeah, I'll give
the
you that one.
sauce gets stuck inside it.
That
Bow
brings
tie,
one to
no,
mind.
not having bow tie holds more sauce.
No, the one you need for that is
Surface area.
conchingly.
Yeah, you have to keep it absolutely flat before it gets to your mouth.
If you want a pasta to keep the sauce, you need conchingly shells.
Oh, the shells, yeah.
They're the ones. They are a bastard to pick up with a fork, though.
Yeah, they are. They go with the sauce on as well. They go really slippy, don't they?
Yeah, chopsticks would be a nightmare with them as well.
Yeah.
Spoon.
Yeah,
it's like
chuck them in the bin.
Yeah, it's like they've been made to like make us angry. Is that what the point of it is? Like you're having a night out with Klopp, and they give you some of those pastas there that are really hard to pick up, and it makes you really angry. Want to throw it, i.e., if you've gone for tomato sauce as well as your pasta, that you want to then throw a Klopp, and he says to you, "Get outside, let's have a scrap." I think I've just covered the entire podcast right there.
That's it. We've gone full circle, and that's it for this week.
I'm still shocked at the idea of cold brew spaghetti hoops.
Oh, stunning, mate. Absolutely. Spaghetti. Oh, do you know what? I've had spaghetti hoops for years. The best meal I used to get in senior school was spaghetti hoops, turkey Twizzlers, which I've never, ever, ever forgiven Jamie Oliver for, and just some chips, and it was stunning. And you used to get pink custard and cake, like normal cake for your afters in our school.
Yes.
Oh, mate, it was a stunning dinner, you know. And the thing is, like, most people think back, I think probably older people, I would suggest, would think back of the school dinners as not being very nice, or there'll be some sort of nightmare, or there's like a really evil dinner lady feeding it with you and it's full of crap or whatever, and she's had a smoke and threw it in. A lot of people I would expect, had poor dinner or not nice school dinners in general, but ours at Hillside High School, absolutely stunning. They were exquisite. But what I've told you they were, you'd never think of as something that you would necessarily order in a really good restaurant. But I loved it at school. Probably explains a lot, to be fair.
I reckon a school dinner themed restaurant would make an absolute killing.
Oh, well, everyone still ranks over the cake right now, don't they? The old school cake. You see places that do desserts now, because there's loads of little pop-up ones, isn't it, in and around, like so up the road from ours, there's a dessert place that just does, like, you know, loads of different ice cream and whatnot, and it's like, I don't know, there's a bit more novelty than anything else, really. But absolutely right, if someone opens a school dinner type of, what, mate, we're coming up with all sorts. I'm going to ring Dragon's Den here. I'm going to email. I've got the email on the BBC there, and I'm going to say, you know, we've got a load of ideas here, guys. Let's give us a few quid.
I was thinking when you said that, 6 by Nico must have done a school dinner. So that's that place in town, isn't it? Does like the 6 courses.
Oh yeah,
on different themes. So just
in really minute sizes.
Yeah.
Have you been there?
It's like half a turkey Twizzler on a massive plate with a little drizzle of soy sauce on top of it.
But it'd be
and
the nicest turkey Twizzler.
And one sprig of rosemary.
Yeah.
That's it. But every single one of those things would be the tiniest version of the nicest version. So they'd piss you off even more. I went there when Sunak did the bloody, what was it, half bite you could go out for when the COVID.
Oh yeah.
What was it called? Yeah, and I went there with a couple of mates once, and I was like, "Oh, this is really, really nice." But they both, like, you get your 6. That's the whole point of it, 6. So you bring out 6 different portions, and then the last one, it was like,
actually why it's called that. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
well, yeah, it is, yeah.
The last thing I went for was a Snickers, and I thought, surely, because the cost of a Snickers in a normal shop round the corner from yours, what's a Snickers, about 50p, say? I thought, surely.
I reckon.
Well, surely they can bring out a full version of that, just, you know, because it's cheap. And no, it didn't. It brought out one that you wouldn't find in a selection box. Honestly, it was that small. But
it's a celebration.
It was like each part of it, like the caramel and the chocolate, was exquisite. The best version of every one of them. But literally, you had to have them glasses you had on before, Les, to see it. It was that small.
Dave's talking about me serial killer glasses, which I've shown before, but I'm
those who aren't listening to the pod and actually watching this on YouTube will get to see what Les used to wear for science when he was in school.
And if you are listening to the pod, watch it on YouTube, because you get to see it like these glasses. What a mistake they were. Yeah, the 6 by Nico's thing. So it the first course was a lasagna dish.
Yeah.
But in the form of finely made ox-cheek ragu with herb pasta topped with parmesan espuma. And
well, didn't they used to theme them every few months, Les? Like every couple of months there'd be like a New York one, and you get a steak. But when it says steak, you can imagine what I'm going to say. When normally you go out and you want to buy a steak for like 60 quid, you get a nice, I don't know, 20-ounce steak for that sort of money. When you go, my favourite restaurant in the city, Churrasco in Egbert, like I get a fillet steak in there. It's quite expensive, but you get a sizable portion of it for that very reason. In that place you've just mentioned, they will give you the tiniest version of it because they say, "Oh, you're going to get 6 different portions," as if to say, "We're going to fill you up anyway, you know, mate." But you sort of expect that. You think, "I've had my first portion." You get your second and third, and you're thinking, "Yeah, this hasn't touched the sides, this." And you get to number 4, number 5, and you start thinking, "I'm going to call the manager in a minute because this is just taking the piss now." Not that this is ever going to sponsor us at any point, is it? But do try it, you know. Do try it on payday.
Start at 12 by Nico then. Let's do that.
That's it, mate, yeah. You need 25, Nico, before you're filled. I know that.
Yeah, you're definitely not averse to a Subway on the way home, to be honest.
No, I know exactly, mate. Yeah.
Foxy's asked, "What's the worst start that you've ever made to a new job? Did you last longer than 6 weeks?" I'm guessing that's about Liz Truss, because this is from a few weeks ago. That's where this question's come from. The worst start. It's a tough one for me. This I've started a lot of jobs and always been made redundant from all apart from about one of them. So it's always ended badly, but it's always kind of started quite well, I think.
I don't know, Les. I don't know. I'm going to say that I'm sort of hinting and thinking that this might have been aimed at me this entire podcast, to be honest with you, because I've got a good answer to this one. So, I, at 16, out of school, my mum set me up with this place called Merseyside Training, and for one reason or other, I'm going to tell you where this place was, just simply because I can't think of anywhere else immediately right now. But it's in and around. I'll say politely, for people who are under the age of 18, it was on or near Lime Street. For those who are over the age of 18, shut everyone else away. It was opposite X in the City, and the original X in the City. I've got another thing about that, but I'm not going to get into that. That will be like definitely after 10 at night that we could say that. But anyway, went to this place, Merseyside Training, go in there, and they're an apprentice place for people who had either got out of college early or fell out of college or just wanted to get into work straight away from school without actually have gone to college. So at 16, obviously you can earn money, but the apprenticeship, it was woeful in terms of payments. You got 30 quid a week. And I got put in, and people will know this because it still exists, Gregory Abram Davidson, which is basically it's right on Matthew Street, isn't it? It's where it is. Solicitor place.
Oh yeah, I know the one. Yeah,
I just know
Victoria.
I think.
That's the one. But Cracking place. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly where it is. Where you're thinking. By Reminisce in Matthew Street is where it is next. Oh, sorry, it's above Hardy's. That must be much easier to explain to most people. So it's above there. Really old building, as most are in and around that area of the city. And I got put in there at 16, and I lasted 3 weeks and 4 days because it was basically I went in there and I was thinking, what am I going to learn in here? Something to do with solicitor law, whatever it is. And basically the only reason he got me in there, they must have been looking for somebody, just a cheap body who can run around sort of doing the photocopying and bit of cleaning and whatnot. And I had it in my mind that it was going to be something that I'd want to stay with and maybe achieve something and get into a career. And it wasn't any of that of the sort. But I quite quickly found that out. Yet the place itself tried to make out that it was. They tried to make out that I could get a career there, but I needed to be part of the team. But I quickly worked out, well, how am I possibly going to get anything from doing the photocopying? Excuse me, and generally mopping up and all this, and just doing people's postage. Obviously, as you can imagine, it's just solicitors, so they used to get loads and loads of post, and I basically had to organise it and make sure the right solicitor got the right documents and whatnot. And yeah, 30 quid, you got a 30 quid. But not only did you get 30 quid, you got 30 quid in cash on every Friday afternoon. For my own sins, I'd take the 30 quid and just go to the bookies and try and just win something on the roulette. And I'd have to get my mum and dad to pick me up and they go, all right, son, you got your wages. Like, oh, no, they didn't give me it this week. And I had to, for the 3 weeks, I had to try and pass away to them and try to convince them that I'd not been paid. But my mum is one of those typical Scouse kind of mums who's like, that's an outrage, that I'm going to ring this place up and I'm going to, kick off. And she did that. And obviously they've told her that I was paid. So then not only did they get a bollocking from my mum and dad, they said, they didn't want me to work there anymore. So I was fired after 3 weeks. But just the last little bit before I finish that is that it was the Christmas night out. I got sacked on my birthday, by the way, 17th of December. Sacked on my birthday. The day before that was the Christmas night out, and it was a free bar. And I was 16, about to turn 17. Didn't really make any friends in there whatsoever, because who really would in the time of 3 weeks? And obviously, a lot older people than me, 16 years old, wearing a cheap shirt and tie, running around there doing all sorts, causing havoc with all sorts of postage. I must have cost them some money and a lot of business, to be fair, because I didn't even give them the right post. I wasn't even bothered in the end. I'd end up the worst part was, I think it was about the week before I got sacked. I had to go and deliver all of the posts around the city. They had to give it to other buildings, and because it was coming up to New Year, they give me must have been about 60 different envelopes with New Year messages in, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas and all that I had to give to the relevant businesses that they had work with. I was that lazy and couldn't be asked that much. I decided to go and get first class stamps out of the post office in the middle of town, because they give me the whole afternoon to send it. I went and got it, done it for like 10 minutes, just putting stamps on them in the post office. And I said, "Are they okay to go, mate?" To the fella. He said, yeah, you put first class stamps on it, these places will get them even quicker than they normally do. So it's like happy days. Cost me about, I don't know, 40 quid's worth of stamps. And then I went and sat in Matthys and had my tea in the afternoon. But yeah, what a day that was. But they never ever found out about that. So I actually thought, if they bothered with me or even thought of me, what an initiative that is from me to go and do something like that. Get everything sent out to their businesses. They'd be delivered quicker. Everyone would be really happy with it. And he decided to say, "No, Dave, we're going to have to let go of you, mate, because you're absolutely useless." But that night before my birthday, I got absolutely pissed. The free bar at the age of 16, and I walked in the next morning with a pint of milk. And yeah, I mean, I was absolutely rotten. Absolutely, I was always a nice guy, like, but I was an absolute rotten employee. But then again, you really should be if you're only getting 30 quid a week to sort out the post of a solicitor, shouldn't you?
Yeah, at least you rinsed the free bar as well.
Exactly. Yeah, Red Bull all over me.
Matt, any nightmare jobs or starts to jobs?
No, I've only ever had one job. It's the job I've got now, straight out of university. And the start
And maybe
was
say he's fantastic at it, by the way, Matt.
Matt's
I'm not
fantastic.
sure my boss would agree. I'm not sure my boss would agree there, like, but well, given that I'm meant to be working until 6, and I've been doing the podcast for the past 53 minutes, but no one else is online anyway. No, I'm only messing there. I clocked off. No, the start was perfectly fine. A lot of people in my game, like, they'll go into like graduate schemes where they'll get kicked around the country and spend 6 months here, 6 months there, and they're on training courses and that. And I walked in the first day, and my first line manager just turned around to me and said, "No one's going to hold your hand here. Make us some money." And I went, "Fair play. I'm here for that." I didn't want any of this, any of this nonsense, like, training schemes and all stuff like that, and people holding your hand. And he just sat me down at a desk, said, "There's your desk, there's your computer, there's your car parking space outside. We'll get someone to raise the desk up because you're a tall lad. Make us some money." And that was it. And I've been there 7.5 years now.
That's
Still enjoy it.
Hand over fist. I do enjoy it. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
That is essentially the perfect brief, though, isn't it? What have you got to do? Make us money. All right.
Yeah, and that's what I do. I'm about to make them 400 grand. I'm not going to see a penny of that myself, but
Oh, mate, do you know that's actually such a nice and encouraging story to any of the young people who are listening to this podcast. Is that you can actually make it. You don't have to do all of this nonsense that people tell you to do, and everyone kicking you around as a kid. And like Matt said, then you get thrown about, and you're not going to earn much money. You put your head down, graft on for a little bit, and then reward you. Look at Matt's happy 7 years on, happy days. Definitely don't go to. Well, I'm not going to say don't go to that particular solicitors because I don't want them to sue us. But don't try not to go into any apprenticeships and send you to solicitors.
I've just thought, actually, it wasn't actually a job. It was work experience. So I did 2 weeks work experience in the summer of 1997 at Radio City, and Graham Beecroft. So I was like 17 at the time.
He the legend.
Yeah. Oh no, was I 97? It was 97, 98 when Lombardo.
This must be something to do with radio.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So was 97, 98 when Lombardo scored in our opening game against Palace? I think it was, wasn't it? That season.
Didn't he become player manager quickly after that as well? Didn't he, at Palace?
Yeah, I think so. So I was probably about 9. No, yeah, it must have been about 19, 20 maybe. Doing some work experience. Yeah, I would have been sort of coming to the end of uni last year. So yeah, I was doing work experience at Radio City. Graham Beecroft says to me, "Can you drive?" I was like, "Yeah." Threw me the keys to his RAV4, and said, "I've left my glasses at Tranmere. Can you take my car, drive over to Tranmere, pick up my glasses, bring them back?" I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So RAV4 at the time, it was a pretty nice car, better than anything I'd ever driven. So I drive out to the car park at Moorfield Station, and my knowledge of town wasn't great. I got to the tunnel fine, got to Tranmere fine. Coming back, could not find the car park that I'd just come out of. I was driving around Liverpool for about an hour and a half, just could not get back. In the end, I managed to find it, just totally fluked it, parked up, and he was dead good. He didn't give me any shit, but he must have been thinking for that entire time, where the fuck is this lad gone with my car? But there was no mobile phone then. We didn't have mobile, so we couldn't text me or phone me, say where are you at. It was just, this kid's gone with my car and I don't know where he's gone. It was, yeah, so it's safe to say after that, I didn't really, he didn't take me on for any extra work after the 2 weeks I was there. But
Les, we've known each other for quite some time now. How on earth have you never told me this story ever?
I don't know. I don't know what. Actually, I've just literally just remembered it now.
Oh my word!
Yeah,
I'm in the city here thinking about that all night long now. You know, mate.
So-
Honestly, because Behe, who's I think he's still at TalkSport now, but I wouldn't mind me saying he's getting slightly older now, but he was obviously quite a famous commentator. It'd be fair to say, wouldn't it?
yeah.
Across the city and obviously on local radio and whatnot. But yeah, he's a funny guy, is Behe.
Yeah,
But that has absolutely blown my mind. The fact that, first of all, you were at Radio City before me, because I spent 13 years working there, and you've been there before me. But then also, you'd worked at Radio City in Stanley Street.
Yeah, it was in
as
Stanley
opposed
Street
to the Tower.
Yeah,
because it didn't go to the Tower until 2001.
Yeah, it was that long ago. Yeah, I was in Stanley Street, and also
this is mind blowing, mate. You must have seen like Kev Seed and all that.
Yeah, who did I see there? Kev Keaton's, I saw him. I actually did some editing on a reel.
Kev Keaton's a lovely fella. Yeah.
I did like reel to reel editing, which is the most ridiculous thing ever.
Oh my word, mate.
Cut the tape and paste it together.
I think I'm going to have another seizure now. You're just telling me all of these things.
And when it was there,
I'm sitting here now thinking, what the fuck's this going on in my brain? Les Roberts used to work at Radio City before me and did reel to reel, and I've never had to do it before.
Well, and one of the other lads who was doing work experience at the same time was Vinny O'Connor.
Oh my word! Now I knew that. Well, would you have seen Huddersfield there then? I think you would have, wouldn't you?
I don't remember. Maybe I don't
might have come in round that time. Yeah. Because Vinny, say Vinny like I know him, and no fan of his to be honest with you. But anyway, him and Steve were there at the same time, and it was like, Peter McDowell was there as well. Did you see him there? He might have come a little bit later than that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
He's the fella who's he's the guy. He works for LFC TV, doesn't he? And he does the tannoy at their place in Anfield. Okay. But that, mate, that's astonishing. That there'll be people that you met that I've become really close to that me and you both know, but we both won't have known each other. If that makes sense.
I mean, I was only there for 2 weeks, so there's no way they were keeping.
Oh, for fuck's sake! I thought you were going to say you were there for years. What's going on, Les?
2 weeks, that was it.
My head's going to fall off in a minute.
We'll move quickly on to Stephen Sheehan's second question. So, after learning this week that Maradona once went to a fancy dress party as Osama bin Laden, if anyone hasn't seen the pictures of that, they're knocking about Twitter. It's very funny.
Who went for it? Who went?
Maradona.
Maradona.
Oh. It was his 62nd birthday party. What is the worst / most inappropriate fancy dress costume you've ever seen / worn? So,
well, go on.
I was going to say worn. It was actually on the night got with Louise. So we went to a party, a fancy.
Done well here, then, mate.
What's that?
You've done well there.
Oh God, I know. So we went to a fancy the Halloween party at a mate's house, which was fancy dress, but we sort of went after we'd been on a night out, so we went in fancy dress. That night, I got really drunk and swapped clothes with the girl whose party it was. She was wearing a bumblebee costume, and I just had normal clothes on. So I just got into her bumblebee costume and was walking about this party dressed as a bumblebee in a very small women's bumblebee outfit. And then couldn't for the life of me understand why a boyfriend absolutely hated me, because he was giving me so much shit all night. I was like, what the hell have I done? I'm walking around in his girlfriend's clothes. So that's probably mine.
Matt's got to go first. I'm trying to find my picture, which will probably make you all laugh. So, Matt, take your time to this answer.
For my one, well, I've had two costumes in the past. One of which was Halloween, in which I've been required to wear black face paint, but not in the way that you think. So the first one was in university. We had a fancy dress night out for someone's birthday, and her name was Ginge. So the theme was everyone dressed up as something beginning with G. So I decided, right, I'm going to go as a pint of Guinness, which involved me wearing all black and wearing like a white beanie hat, and then having white face paint across there, and then black face paint across there, and all the way down my neck. So it was just completely head to toe, just like black, and then white. And it actually did come off quite well, except it kind of started to rub off a bit. So it was a bit. And I also had to paint a little pint of Guinness on my cheeks so people knew what it was. Otherwise, it just looked a bit odd. And the second time was for Halloween, when my brother had a farm shop up at Hay Hall in Wigan, and they were doing like a Halloween event for all the kids. So I put together this costume, and it was like a black suit, black shirt, like skull cufflinks, big creepy like latex hands with like big nails, and I got this like scary mask, but the eye holes were quite big on it. So when I put it on, you could see my skin underneath it. It kind of ruined the effect. And then on a top hat as well. So I basically painted all around there completely black and my eyelids, and then put the mask on, and you couldn't see any skin underneath. Then it was just a pair of eyes underneath this mask. Went down really well. Like, you know, the kids actually found it funny more than scary. And I'd just walk around like stalking like that slowly. And then when like a kid would come up to me, I'd just go like that with my top hat and take it off, and there's Haribo inside it, and then just walk off again. And I was just spend like 3 hours just stalking around this like this country house farm shop park, whatever it is. The only problem with that is I had to drive home down the M58, and I couldn't wear this mask because I had no peripheral vision, so I had to take the mask off. So I'm sat there driving my car in the M58 in a black suit with black face paint on, wearing a top hat. I look like Al fucking Jolson. I had to head straight home, 90 miles an hour, and just scrub my face.
Just thinking though, if a copper would have pulled you over, he probably would have said, "Oh, fair enough, mate. Got black face paint on. Carry on."
Yeah, you're one of us, yeah. It's a thin blue line badge. Yeah. In terms of other people, it's not actually inappropriate, but it just popped into my head as a really good costume. My best mate had a Halloween costume when he lived at Minster Court, which was obviously called Munster Court for the night, and he dressed up as Nosferatu. So he had like completely white face paint and like weird contact lenses in and like a hook nose and that, and he looked really good, but it was really warm on him. So at some point he's wearing just like a blue shirt, like a blue collared shirt. At some point in the night, he like washed it off. Then he came back out, and he's just there with like sort of wet, scraggly hair, and then just like little smudges of white face paint on his collar. And his brother just went, "Oh, fucking hell, Peter's come as a painter decorator." Because he actually did look like a painter decorator or a plaster, because he was just wearing like a blue collared shirt with like white flecks all over it, and his sleeves rolled up, looking dead sweaty. I was like, that's actually a really good double costume. Not inappropriate in any way, but it just popped into my head then.
Right. Well, I've just sent you them, Les, on WhatsApp, because I don't think I have the ability to do this, to share this on the screens right now. But I'll think I'll know by your reaction.
God.
Oh, forward it on.
I tell you what, Dave. I reckon 3 pints.
So yeah, my Mrs. Haley there, who's gone as a cave girl on the one picture that you've got there, Les. So we've been together for this is our 14th year. We're just about to enter now, and we both have the couple of friends, and we've got more than 2 friends. Like, that sounded bad, that didn't it? But we've got friends who we went to who had a Halloween party. So we were like, a serious Halloween party, though. You had to properly dress up. You couldn't just rock up, with a mask on or whatever. You had to properly get dressed up. And I've never been a fan of that. So at this point, I had to properly throw myself out on this. And as you know, as most of our listeners will know, I'm a big fella. So I was like struggling to find something off the internet that was like my size and all that, like, until I come across one that was like multiple size, a few XL. And I come across the the clothing of Jesus. So I decided to go as Jesus. So a few people when I got there were like, "Oh, Dave, you made a real good effort here," because it's got like the shawl on and all that. You know what Jesus looks like, obviously. And I got the wig and everything like that. And
sorry, Dave, I've just seen the other two pictures that you've sent.
yeah, see, yeah, you can put them out to people listening to this. Make sure you put there we go. There we go.
The Zootons.
What?
It's the Zootons.
Well, do you know what? I got told there was several different people apart from Jesus, so I got told that I was fat Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh,
I was happy about that, mate. I was really, really happy about that. The other one as well, it's in what's his name that Liam Neeson plays in Star Wars. What? Yeah, that literally was he wore that type of thing, didn't he? Well, they all did the Jedi, didn't he? And then if you look at the one with me missus that I sent you there, Les, someone put like that, and it starts to look like who's the rival of John McEnroe at Wimbledon?
Jimmy Connors.
No, the other one.
Bjorn Borg.
Bjorn Borg, yeah.
Yeah, him. His, because he wears the headband. That other picture you've got makes me look a little bit like a fat version of him again. But yeah, that was the best time I had ever at a Halloween party for dressing up like Jesus. And do you know what? It was really expensive. When you look at those clothes there, basically just look like bed sheets, to be honest, don't they? You want a brown bed sheet covered in a white bed sheet and a wig. I think ended up costing about 50 odd quid. And I was fuming. I was thinking, well, hang on, I'm not really going to wear that again, because you're not going to go to the next Halloween party you go to unless it's with a group of different people as Jesus again. I mean, you couldn't be that. Could you do that? Have you ever gone twice in a row?
Get a lightsaber.
You what?
Get a lightsaber.
Or a tennis racket.
Yeah, there you go. You got 3 costumes there.
Happy days. Yeah.
I said,
do you know what? I've never been to a proper Halloween party since that day, and I really wish I did, because they are great, aren't they? Because
yeah, the sound are a good laugh. I don't think I've been to one since the bee costume incident, so I don't think I'll ever get invited to one again.
Let's have one next year.
I know I was going to say that we should actually do that next year, but the actual the whole rigmarole of it, when you get there, it's like you're really happy with your costume and all that. But I don't know about you guys. I'm like, everyone's seen it, a few nice photos and a couple of games and whatever you play after the first hour and a half, 2 hours or whatever. And then I'm thinking, I'm not really arsed then. So I dressed up like Jesus, but with that hat on. And then you end up losing bits of it, and bits of it start ripping off and all that. And I'm thinking, I can't believe I've just done this for 50 odd quid. I've come in here and get pissed. I don't even remember what I was wearing. And people have said that I'm fat Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is not turning out to be a good night.
Just on Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon, for all the nerds out there, Tales of the Jedi on Disney Plus is very good.
Do you not think they're getting a bit far with these things now? Because I watched Obi-Wan, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. Really, really good. With Vader coming back on it and all that stuff. But it just seems like there's no ending to this now.
Coming.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Keep coming, yeah.
The thing with
they've all been done brilliantly. I've still not watched is the Han Solo one any good, the film?
It's all right.
Is it as good as Rogue One?
No.
Rogue One was one of the best they've made in recent years.
On Rogue One, have you watched Andor?
No, we've got 2 episodes into that, and we just haven't had time. We need to watch it though.
It's incredible. It's like, I was watching it last week, and I was watching thinking, this is obviously good, but this is a bit too good. And I looked into it. The writers of it have done the original Bourne trilogy, House of Cards, The Americans, and Nightcrawler.
Okay.
Wow.
It's a proper writing team, and it's absolutely incredible. The depth it's going into. It's so good, really is. Do
you know the thing that blew my mind in that? The first episode, the fellow who gets shot at the start.
Don't make spoilers, Les.
It's not a spoiler. It's kind of the thing.
I know what you're gonna say.
It's Jez Quigley off Corrie.
It's Jez fucking Quigley. Yeah. Literally, when I watched that, I was like Leo DiCaprio, just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, the bouncer of the brothel he goes into right at the start is the bouncer of the gay club in Peep Show.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Dwight's like, "You been here before, mate?" He's like, yeah, sir. I'm just asking you for a game, mate." He's like, "Oh yeah, of course I am." Like, in you go. Yeah, same fella, totally typecast. Yeah, but no, sorry. On the costumes, I've just thought of two more. I've got to say, the first one is again not Halloween. It was fancy dress party. It was my mum's mate. Bless her, she's dead now, Pam, and it was her 50th birthday party, and it was fancy dress. But she worked at Ruby's Costumes on the Seaforth, Freeport as it was back then. So she got like ridiculous, like 60% discount because it was straight out of the container. So she just sent everyone who was invited the catalogue and just said like tick off what you want, and then send it all to me, and then send me the check or whatever for it. So the entire party was fully decked out in full professional costumes. It was insane. It was absolutely brilliant. I think I went as V for Vendetta because I was like 14 at the time or something. So I still thought that was cool. I mean, it is a cool film, but I thought it was cool to dress up like that. It was before.
I love anything like that. You don't. That's a proper Scouse thing, that isn't it? Where someone you know ends up doing something that you want to do, but they'll get a discount from somehow, some way of doing it, and it ends up boss. You don't hear that anything like that in the modern days, do you? Do you know what I mean? I love anything like that where people like stick together for decent events and stuff like that. It's absolutely brilliant.
What they're taking from us, yeah. And the other one is a really inappropriate Halloween costume I saw last week. It's a lad I follow on Twitter called Nas, and his Halloween costume last year was a wig and like a dress and loads of like hand lotion just like sprayed on his face, like splashed on his face, and then a name tag saying Eileen.
Oh, fucking hell. Oh, just to raise just to raise the tone a little bit. I had a mate who decides to go out as a piece of paper. Like he actually got it was actually called that as well when he ordered it from a Halloween company or whatever online. He went out as a piece of paper. I'm like, well, what's even the point of that? Like, and he went, well, the point of it is that I get like loads of girls coming up like saying, what have you come as? Because he'd come as something so obvious as a piece of paper, nobody would think it was actually a piece of paper. And I'm not even joking, like loads of girls were coming up to him all night. He absolutely smashed it.
Did he take a pen so he could write the number on a piece of paper?
No, someone had, like, what he did was, and again, what an idea, what a fella this fella, I don't know him anymore, but what a fella this one was. He used to get people to like sign the name on it, because it's a piece of paper. Got them to sign, like girls putting numbers on it and all this. I couldn't believe how it actually hit home, because when he initially turned up, everyone was like, "What are you playing at, mate? You cheap bastard! Go and get something decent. Will you go home and get changed? Even come out in your own clothes. It looks better than coming out as a piece of paper." But yeah, absolutely come in for him. Some effort, that, isn't it?
One for all the single lads on Halloween.
You're either taking it too far or fast.
Whatever works, isn't it? Are you there, Dave? I think
he's still there. I don't know.
I heard a noise like maybe his microphone went.
Like a bark. Yeah.
Yeah. So Dave was
Come back, Dave.
I'm back.
There he is.
There he is.
The reason why is that because my missus is coming in now and my Wi-Fi has got tuned into the car, so she's probably just heard us talking about some fella wearing a piece of paper.
Right then, we'll leave it there for this week's mailbag. Thanks to Dave, thanks to Matt, thanks to everyone who sent questions in. Send us what did we want to know? If you reckon you could take calls, let us know. Yeah. Can you? And also any Halloween costumes. Yeah, we will catch you next time on Mailbag. Nice one.